What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. My name is wAFF and this is my review of Titane. Right, so I'm actually gonna struggle to review this because this is absolutely mental. Like, this is mental. This film is proper batshit crazy and I love it. What I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna talk non-spoilers to begin with, and then I'll give you all a warning when it goes into spoiler territory, which is probably gonna be pretty quick because I don't know how you can review this or explain this without telling you what happens, because it's not just like, oh well, you know, this is the story. There's so much random shit going on that, like, I don't even know how I'm gonna do this. So let's just give it a go and see where we get to. Okay, just to sum it up, Titane is a porno about a serial killer that fucks titanium. So this film follows a girl named Alexia. It's a French film. It's very, very crazy, and the actress who plays Alexia is brilliant. Supposedly, I have read this, whether it's true or not, I don't know, but supposedly this is her first acting job, or acting role, or one of the first ones, and that she was found on Instagram. And wow, she does an amazing performance. Like, what she has to go through in this movie is very graphic, very disturbing. It's very revealing for an actress to do this sort of stuff. That, like, I give her praise 100% for doing it, because she did an amazing job. They all do. The acting in this is brilliant. The film, before I start telling you what goes on in this film, the film is a great shot film. It's very well shot. It's very well made. It's a really good film. The cinematography is great. The grading's great. The story, we'll get into the story. We'll get into the story. Trust me. But the whole thing is a very interesting watch. You are sat on your seat watching this film thinking, what the fuck is gonna happen? Like, what is actually happening here? Because this is mental. Straight away, you're like, okay, this film is gonna be absolutely nuts, and it is. For anyone who likes the weird, strange, suspenseful, graphic, violent, mental stories and movies, then you're gonna be into this film. It is very interesting, but let's get into what goes on without spoiling anything. This film follows a girl named Alexia, who at the very start of this film we get to see a flashback of her as a child, and something dramatic, something bad happens to her as a kid, and this kind of sets up the story as to why she probably starts to do the things she does later on in life. Now, after this first scene, we get brought straight into the present day, where she is a stripper. She's a stripper, and she's a stripper for some sort of car showcase. It's like people that are into cars, I think, go to this like warehouse. There's all these different cool cars on display, and there's a load of strippers, and they're all dancing and washing the cars, and, you know, it's a bit of erotica with cars. People, I guess, have just got fetishes over cars, but they also get some sexy women doing some erotic dancing on the cars. Why not? Anyway, Alexia is fully going for it. She is loving this. She is clearly the best stripper. Everybody is drawn to her. She's all over this car. She is in love with the car. She just is having some sexual moment with the car, and she's just doing a really, really good striptease, and people are loving it. Anyway, this kind of... How do I even explain any more than this? Something happens after this which makes you realize that Alexia is actually not that good of a person. She does things that make you go, okay, shit, alright, we're following this person now, and it's pretty graphic, what happens straight away in this film. But I'll tell you this. There is some sexual things that happens with Alexia and something. She has some weird sexual tendencies towards a certain something, and this sets up the film straight away. There is a scene at the very start of this movie, after she's committed some horrendous act. Something happens straight after it, which doesn't make any sense, but it happens anyway, and this sets up the story of Alexia and what happens to her. Basically, without spoiling anything, she is a serial killer who is on the run. And I kind of feel like that's all you can say. She's on the run. She gets herself into some very weird situations. She has to do many things to try and like help her not get caught. She has to go through this life where she has to not be herself. Let's put it that way. She has to try and not be herself, and she has to try. She's basically on the run from the police, and what happens to her on the run is just so weird and so strange that I don't know how to explain it without spoiling it. I don't know how I can do this review, guys, without spoiling it. We're gonna have to go into spoiler territories because it's just too much shit that happens that you can't really explain without telling what it is. But let's just put it this way. She's a serial killer on the run, and she has some very weird sexual tendencies towards weird things. And that's that. So, look, if you guys like the sound of this and you're interested in whatever I've just said, please stop watching this now, because I'm going to just talk full spoilers. And I really don't want you guys to get spoiled on this, because it is very interesting what happens in a very weird way. Like, honestly, this film is absolutely mental. And I don't want any of you to get this film ruined by watching this. Just go and watch the film. Go watch it, and then come back and watch the rest of this to hear what I think and review of this movie. So, full warning, we're going into spoilers right now. So, like I said, this film follows Alexia, and at the very beginning of this film, she's in a car, she's kicking the back of her seat, her dad's driving the car, she's kicking the back of her dad's car seat. He's getting pissed off. For whatever reason, there was some weird tension going on between them both. So because he's getting pissed off, he starts to turn the music up really loud. She starts getting more annoyed. She starts kicking the car seat even more, to the point where her dad turns around and tries to tell her off for kicking the car seat. And then they have this car accident, and you just see this car smash into the side, and you just see Alexia's head obviously is smashed against the car window. There's some blood on the window, and then it cuts to this very graphic scene of an operation going on with Alexia, and there's some very up close and graphic visuals of someone being operated on. It looks like it could actually be a real footage of an operation, because it looks very real. It's very graphic, and it basically shows you eventually that it's Alexia. She's had a titanium skull implanted into her head. She has this scar across her ear, and you know, she survived the accident, and so is her dad. Her dad obviously feels really bad about this. I kind of feel like it shows you him feeling guilty. There's something weird going on with her dad. Like, the relationship between these two is just strange the whole way through this movie. So it doesn't really venture into that. It doesn't really explain it further than just, you know, you see a few shots of her dad. Her dad doesn't really speak. He just seems really like uncomfortable with his daughter Alexia. But anyway, we now cut back to the present day, and Alexia, like I said, is a stripper. She's stripping in this car room showcase. She's like all over the car. After she's stripped on the car, she goes into the showers with the rest of the strippers, and there's like a scene where they're all naked in the shower, and she's just washing herself, but one of the other strippers is trying to befriend her. She's trying to speak to Alexia, and Alexia doesn't want to know. She doesn't care. She's not interested, but she ends up dropping, I think, some soap, and Alexia goes down to pick up the soap, and her hair gets tangled up on this girl's nipple piercing. Now, Alexia's having to have a moment with this other girl, which I forget her name, but she's having a moment with this other girl, because obviously her hair's so tangled up in her nipple piercing. So they're trying to talk, and then they actually start to, you know, make a little bit of a bond together. A little bit of a friendship starts to spark. And, you know, that's kind of it for the moment. She gets untangled and whatever. So she leaves the shower. She leaves the showcase. She goes home. Alexia starts to go home. As she leaves, there's loads of people waiting for her to take an autograph. She's clearly famous in the world of car stripping, if that's the thing. I don't fucking know. Anyway, she's taking all these autographs. She clearly doesn't want to do it. She seems like she's a bit of a bitch. She just doesn't seem like she's that nice of a person. Anyway, she gets in a car, and as she's trying to drive home, this mega fan comes over to her, and he wants an autograph. But not only that, he wants a kiss. So, obviously, you think that this isn't going to happen. And to be honest, this moment, I was like, I don't know what's going to happen here. Is he going to attack her? What's going to happen? Is he a murderer? Is he going to kidnap her? I really didn't know what was going to happen, but lo and behold, she actually decides to kiss him, which is so weird. But as she's kissing him, you can tell that something's going to happen. She's really uncomfortable. Well, she seems uncomfortable to the point where she actually pulls out this chopstick that she's got in her hair to wrap her hair up. She pulls it out and she just jabs this right through this guy's ear, and he starts to have a seizure and he starts having a fit and foaming from the mouth, and she basically kills this guy. And she doesn't seem fazed by it at all. She grabs his body, throws it in the back of the car. And then she realizes that this guy's foam that was coming out of his mouth is all over her neck and on her clothes. So she's like, oh, I need to go back inside now and get another shower. So she goes back into this warehouse, has a shower, and as she's having the shower, there's some massive bang against the door, the bathroom door, and she's like worried and scared because this bang is so loud. It's not like someone knocking. It's like boom, boom, boom. Like, it doesn't make sense as to what it like actually could be without breaking down this door. So anyway, she's completely naked. She leaves the shower. She goes over to this door, and as she opens the door, she opens it to find that there's nobody there. Instead, it's just this massive warehouse with a car. This is where things start to get very, very weird. So she walks slowly over to this car. She's soaking wet. There's water just dripping off her. This car is just situated there. It's got the lights on. She then decides to climb inside the car. And then the next minute, she starts to have sex with the car. No, in fact, the car has sex with her. The car is literally bouncing up and down like this. And we get a shot of Alexia tied up in the back seat. She's got the seatbelts wrapped around her arms. She's completely naked. She's got her legs open, and she is just getting fucked by a car. Yeah, said it. She's getting banged by a car. Oh, not only that, may I just add, she gets pregnant to the car. Which I will touch more on that later. So now we've just seen this woman who we are following throughout the story. The main character has just straight up killed someone, doesn't care about it, gone in to get a shower, washed all the sick off her chest, then decided to go and have sex with a car, and now she's pregnant to the car, right? That is the start of the movie. That's the start of the movie, yeah? So now you understand what type of film you're in for. So I might be missing some bits out here and, just skipping a bit because there's so many things that happen, and I don't want to spend the whole review video just talking about every single thing, but I want to just let you know the key moments and let you know what happens to let you understand what this film's about. So anyway, we cut to a next scene where she's at home, she's eating cereal on the sofa, but she's living with her dad. Her dad's, again, there's a weird tension between them both, and she's watching the TV, and the news is on the TV, and the news is talking about how there's a serial killer on the loose and all these bodies are being found. Now, this kind of gives you the idea that she might be the serial killer because we've already seen her kill someone. She's a weird person. The fact that this has just even been talked about on the TV kind of indicates that she is the serial killer. She ends up meeting back up with this woman who she had her hair tangled with in her nipple piercing, and these two are now starting to have a little bit of a friendship, but also kind of, they're starting to have, well, it seems feelings for each other. Definitely from this other girl's side, she has feelings for Alexia. Alexia just seems to be going along with it for the sake of it. And they have this little moment together where they start to kiss, and then, this girl's this girl's clothes comes off. Alexia starts to suck her nipple, and she's got a nipple piercing, and she's just obsessed with this nipple piercing. She's sucking her nipple so much to the point when she starts chewing at it, and then she starts trying to pull out her nipple piercing with her mouth. It's a weird scene. It made me feel weird. And then this girl freaks out. She's like, whoa, what are you doing? Like, what are you even doing here? You're trying to rip out my nipple pit. Like, it's painful for her. She freaks out. They have this bit of a weird moment. Alexia seems to be, like, really pissed off, but, like, doesn't really say anything. Next minute, this girl just forgives her and is like, okay, that was weird. Come on, let's just go back inside the house. They go inside this house. The next minute, they're cuddling up on the sofa. This girl's cuddled up to Alexia again. She's starting to, forgive or forget about what happened. Next minute, Alexia pulls this thing out of her hair again, this chopstick out of her hair, and just jabs it straight into this girl's ear and kills her on the sofa. Straight up, just kills this girl for no reason whatsoever. So, we now know that Alexia is the serial killer. She just killed this girl who likes her. But not only that, in this house, there's another 3 I think, another 3 people that are staying there. So one of the other people who are staying in this house comes downstairs. To be fair, I don't even know how they even ended up in this house or why they're there. I can't remember, but I don't think he even explains it. But anyway, this guy comes down the stairs and realizes that Alexia's just killed his friend. He starts to freak out. Alexia then jumps up and starts to try and kill this guy, whilst this guy's girlfriend comes out the bedroom and realizes that her boyfriend's getting pretty much murdered. She freaks out. Alexia's now trying to she basically realizes that she's got to kill everybody, and it's kind of a comical moment because she's like, oh god, I'm gonna have to kill another person, and she's just going around this house and she's just killing everybody. But not only that, there's some very graphic moments that happen. She even kills a guy by getting a chair leg, and putting it down this guy's into his mouth like that, into his throat. He's on the floor and she just stamps on it and smashes it right through his throat, kills this guy with a chair leg, and then she just sits on it like nothing's happening. She's just exhausted. She's like, oh, thank God for that. But then she also realizes, oh, for God's sake, I've now got to go upstairs and kill this other girl. But after she kills this other girl, she then realizes that there's a massive guy who's staying there as well. This guy comes out of the bedroom, and she's like, oh my God, I've got to kill this guy. Which she does. She basically kills the whole house. She murders everyone. It's a very, very graphic but very entertaining scene. It is very well shot. It's such a good scene. I loved it. I thought, whoa, this is actually sick. But very sick. Anyway, she's murdered everybody. She goes home. She's covered in blood. Her dad sees her out the window, and he doesn't seem to be fazed by it. It's almost like he knows that she's doing it. I think that he does know, but again, it doesn't tell you anything. This film doesn't really tell you that much about stuff. It just does things and lets you just think about it. So anyway, she then realizes at some point that she is gonna have to go on the run. She ends up going on the run, and as she's on the run, she's in this train station, and she sees on the news, on this TV, that her face is now shown on the news. They know who she is. They know who the murderer is. So she realizes, fuck, how am I going to get away with this? I need to like disguise myself, or I need to make some changes to myself so that people don't recognize me. So she goes into the toilet. She starts cutting off all her hair. She shaves off her eyebrows, but then she also realizes, well, I still look like me, so I need to deform my face somehow. So now there's a really graphic moment, very graphic moment, where she just realizes, right, I'm going to have to break my nose. And how she does it is pretty intense. She just smashes her face off a sink. She just starts going for it, and it's horrible. She breaks her nose. She looks completely deformed. She actually looks very different. The makeup in this is great. She just looks so weird. But then she also sees that there's a report of a missing boy whose name is Adrian. And I think maybe I'm forgetting exactly when this happens. I think she sees this before she decides to break her nose and change her image. Or maybe it's just after. Either way, she realizes that there's a kid missing called Adrian. And I guess that she figures out, well, maybe I can pass off as him. Maybe I can disguise myself as him. So she actually gets some tape. She starts to tape up her boobs and really tightly tape her boobs so like she looks like she has a flat chest. And she dresses like a boy. And she goes to the police station, and this is where the film starts to go down a completely random route. This film starts to go down this other, now a different storyline. Well, it's the same storyline, but we start to get introduced to this new character whose name is Vincent Legrand. His character is named Vincent Legrand. He's played by an actor called Vincent Lindon. He's a great actor too. Everybody's really good in this. But anyway, Vincent Legrand is the father of this missing boy called Adrian. Now, the police think that they have discovered and found the missing boy Adrian. So they call Vincent to come to the police station to see if this is actually his missing child. They open up these blinds in this police station, and who is revealed is Alexia dressed as a boy trying to be Adrian. And the father of Adrian is now looking at Alexia, and you can tell that he's clearly confused whether it's his son or not. He's very unsure, but he just believes that it is anyway. So he says that it's his son. He takes Alexia home with him. They're sat in a car now going back to his home. He thinks that he has his son, but Alexia isn't talking to him because obviously if she talks, he's going to hear that she's got a female voice. He's not going to believe it's his son. So she doesn't say anything now for ages. she's pretty much silent for the most of this film from this point on. Vincent takes her back to the fire station because he's actually a fireman. He's like the chief or captain of the fire station. I don't know what you call the head of a fire team, but he's the chief, let's say, of the fire station. So he introduces Alexia as his son to Adrian, as to all the other firemen. They're a little bit kind of put off by her because she looks very weird, got no eyebrows, like got a broken nose, just doesn't look like a very comfortable person to be around. But anyway, Vincent starts to bring Alexia, Adrian into his life and starts to teach him how to be a fireman. Now the movie just goes down this path where you're just basically watching her learn to be a fireman. It's stupid. And the film now just takes place in this fire station, and there's so much weird stuff going on. Vincent is like so happy to have his son back, but not only that, there's almost like these weird sexual moments between Vincent and Adrian. It's almost like Vincent wants to get into his own son, but he doesn't. It's fucking weird. Like, it's weird, man. I don't even know if that's actually a thing that you're meant to feel, but I thought that all the way through this now. The rest of this film felt like Vincent's gonna start having sexual relationship with what he thinks his son. It's mad. So anyway, like I said, I was gonna touch back on the fact that she is pregnant to a car. She starts now, Alexia, Adrian, let's just call it Adrian from now on. Adrian now starts to show signs of pregnancy, starting to get an actual big belly starting to stick out. And not only that, she's leaking oil from her vagina. Honest to God, like, this is actually just the middle of the film. Like, this is the middle of the film. She's pregnant to a car. She's called Adrian. She's a fireman's son. They're having some weird sexual chemistry, kind of. She's pregnant, she's leaking oil, and now she's showing that she's pregnant, but she's taping herself up so tightly by this like duct tape thing. She's got all these scars and all these bruises all over from having sex with vehicles. She's like got all these like tape all around her. She's tightening her stomach to try and like flatten her stomach because you can see that she's pregnant. And this is like just the weirdest thing to watch. It's so strange. And not only that, for some reason, we start to see that Vincent has some sort of addiction to injecting growth hormone. Why? We don't know. It doesn't even tell you why. There's no reason as to why that becomes a focus point of the film. But for some reason, we just keep seeing Vincent in the bathroom, just naked, injecting himself with steroids and almost getting off on it. Like, it doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even make sense because there's no, like, thing about it. That's just there. It's just a thing he likes to do, and this film likes to show you that. So he's injecting loads of steroids. She's trying to be his son. The fire brigade, the rest of the fire team start to become suspicious about her, especially one guy. He starts to realize, okay, this isn't actually Adrian. This is someone else. I think he even sees that there's a report on the news of Alexia, and he sees her face and realizes, okay, that Alexia is actually Adrian, and he knows about it, so he tries to warn Vincent, the fire captain, and he doesn't want to know because Vincent is so just brainwashed at the fact that this is his son that he doesn't want to know. He's actually in denial. He does kind of know, but he doesn't want to know. He just wants to believe it's his son because he's just so heartbroken about missing his son anyway, and now he finally has him back. He just doesn't want to know. So then shortly after this, Vincent goes into the forest. It's like a forest fire with this other fire brigade colleague who knows that Adrian isn't Adrian, and I'm not sure if Vincent was meant to do this or purposely did it, but he hands this other fireman some sort of canister, some explosive canister, and it actually blows up and kills him. And I feel like Vincent did that on purpose, but I'm not sure. I was unsure at this moment. But anyway, the other guy dies. Vincent doesn't seem to be that bothered. Anyway, it goes back to the fire station. All the firemen are having a party. They're all dancing. They're all drinking. For some reason, Adrian decides to get on top of a fire truck and starts to do some sexual striptease dance. But obviously, he's trying to pass himself off as a boy. So the whole fire brigade are just like, what is going on? This is so weird. And then Vincent walks in. He's just completely embarrassed by what's going on. And then the next scene, we just have Adrian in a fire truck having sex with the fire truck. There's just a sex scene of him now having sex with a fire truck, and he's covered in bruises afterwards. He's pregnant, massively, massively pregnant. And this is where things start to get really, really weird, because not only is he pregnant, but like her stomach is starting to split open. Like her stomach is stretching so much because she's so pregnant that her skin starts to split open, and inside of it you can see metal, like titanium is inside her stomach. It doesn't even make sense. It doesn't make sense. But she's starting to be in a lot of pain. Things start to get really painful and awful for Alexia, Adrian, and then there's a point where Adrian's mother comes to see her son and realizes that it isn't her son, and actually catches Alexia completely naked with her boobs out, massive belly, in this room covered in oil. Just like, it's just such a weird moment. And then the mum actually just says to her, look, I know you're not my son, but Vincent believes you are. Don't break his heart. Continue pretending, just don't break his heart. And then she leaves, and then this kind of like is the ending of the film. I am probably missing stuff because I don't want to just go into everything. There's so much happens, but this is basically the gist in the movie. The mother decides to just leave and let this girl keep pretending to be her son. And now Alexia is just so pregnant that she's now scared. Her stomach's splitting open. At this point, Alexia is just completely scared. She's in the bathroom, and Vincent walks in and finally catches her out, finds out that it isn't his son because she's naked, she has boobs, she's pregnant, he can see it, but he seems to just not care anyway. And then they have some weird moment where like I think they're nearly gonna have sex again, and it's such a strange moment. I think they even start kissing and stuff, and it's just like, what is even going on now? This is just absolutely bonkers. Anyway, he goes to bed. Alexia is freaking out because she's about to give birth. She's in labor. She's in so much pain. She's leaking oil. Her stomach's splitting open. So she panics. She goes into Vincent's bedroom. Vincent's lying in bed. I'm starting to think, okay, now they're going to have sex. She gets in bed with him. They actually start to have some sort of like sexual things happening. They start kissing. They start being like very romantic and intimate with each other. Then she starts to get into pain, and she starts to go into labor. Now, Vincent starts to freak out. He tries to leave the room. He then turns around and for whatever reason realizes, no, I'm going to stay in the room. I'm going to try and help her. So she's now on the bed, legs wide open, and Vincent is now trying to deliver her baby. Which he does successfully deliver the baby, but Alexia dies at this point, and now Vincent has got this baby in his hand. He lies next to her, and you can see that the baby is half human, half titanium. It's got a metal spine, and it just ends with Vincent just holding this baby, just kind of smiling. Now he's just got another kid that he can spend his life with. And that is the end of the film. And that is it. So just to sum it up, Titane is a porno about a serial killer that fucks titanium. God, that was actually really difficult to review because it's not like it's just a normal storyline that you can just go, okay, this is what happens, this is the story, this is what it's about. It's kind of like, what is it about? I mean, obviously it's about this woman who is a serial killer on the run, and about her trying to, just go through her life. You're just following this woman, really, trying to just live and survive and just get away with it. But also, then we're also following a fireman who's lost his son. And it's like there's so many different storylines going on. There's so many things happening that doesn't even make sense. Like, why do we need to know that he's like loves injecting growth hormone? It doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't explain it. It just does it. There's so much stuff like that. But as a film, would I recommend this? Yes, I would recommend it. I would definitely recommend it. I've already told my friends to watch it. My friends love it. They think it's absolutely nuts. It's actually a really good film, regardless of the weirdness. It's a really well-made, good film, great acting. The whole thing I thought was a really interesting film. I was never bored. The whole way through it, I was like interested because you don't know what's going to happen. So would I recommend it? 100%. Is it for everybody? No, not at all. A lot of people are going to watch this and hate it. I think it's absolutely brilliant. For this type of genre of film, I think it's really, really good. So What would I rate this film? That's a very hard question. For this type of genre of movie, if you like the weird indie films that are just a bit strange and have a crazy storyline, I would say that this film, for that type of genre, for this type of weird type of film, I would say it's definitely a strong 7 out of 10. But as a film as a whole, if I was to compare it with every other type of movie and just put it in its own place, I would say maybe this is a 6 out of 10. It's not a bad movie, it's a good movie. I enjoyed it, but it's just weird. Anyways, guys, that's it for my review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, please drop me a like. That would be amazing for me. And please, if you have seen it, let me know down in the comments below what you think. I want to know what you guys think, because this is batshit crazy. I'm very intrigued and interested to know what other people think about this. It is mental, so please let me know down below in the comments what you think. Go and watch this movie if you haven't seen it. It is mad. And if you're new here and you want to stay updated with my content, please hit the subscribe button. That would be amazing for me. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time on wAFFwORLD.